give us a nutshell. What's the latest?
So the Chinese have always said that they will not negotiate at knife point, basically. And I think there are going to be a lot of voices in Beijing saying that Trump tweeting that he's going to raise tariffs represents a knife point, and that the Chinese are thinking about not going, which would really be a setback, because I think a lot of people were expecting that we would have a deal by the end of this week, potentially.
Now, from your experience here, would you expect the Chinese to come through with that and not go to D.C. unless the rhetoric from the White House is damped down?
I think that's a real threat. I think it's very possible. The Chinese, so maybe the most enlightening example is when Trump had that meeting with Tsai Ing-wen, the president of Taiwan. The Chinese just refused to talk until Trump, walked that back. Earlier, when Trump instituted tariffs and threatened to push them up to 25%, again, the Chinese stopped talking. And so if Trump is going to play the same card, I think it's very possible the reaction will be the same.
So, John, I'm just wondering how we should interpret this right now. The market obviously taking this as the worst case scenario at the moment, but is this really just kind of negotiating tactics here to get some more concessions leading up to Friday potentially, or can we actually say that we might not actually get a trade deal?
So I think it's obviously part of it is a negotiating tactic, but I think what that raises is the uncertainty of whether or not a trade deal actually happens. So I think with this sort of rhetoric happening, it becomes a much more likely outcome that we don't get a deal, much more than I think the markets were anticipating.